Okay, so let's go ahead. So first of all, I hope you are having an amazing day so far, or amazing evening, depending where you are located. I'm talking from Portugal, and I work from a lovely city called Aveiro. We call it the Venice of Portugal. And I've been working so far with the X-ray team for quite a few years already. I think 7.5 almost. And anyway, I would work usually with the customers throughout the world through prospects, and I always try to learn more and more about testing. So I'm trying new things, including the new AI techs that we were talking about. Today, I bring here this topic about the Holy Grail of testing and whether we have found it so far. That's an interesting topic, but let's see actually what we can tell about it. And before we dive into it, there are these two places in Portugal where I think that this Holy Grail is found. So what is the Holy Grail? So the Holy Grail is connected with the Christian church. It is said that it was the chalice that Christ used in the last dinner before he died. And it has like these special powers. It can give like eternal youth. And there has been like this quest for finding the Holy Grail for many, many years. And I really love the movie with Indiana Jones from when I was a little kid. And even nowadays, it's a frequent topic. I usually travel abroad, me and my wife, and we usually go perform a lot of sightseeing. And every place we go, or almost every place, we see in these cities, in these places, telling that, oh, the Holy Grail, it's here with us. We have it. And of course, we also have it in Portugal. That's what we say. And there are these two mystical places. One is called Quinta da Regaleira in Sintra, a place near Lisbon. And it has this beautiful mystical well. It is said that this Holy Grail is hidden there. And another place where we say that the Holy Grail is hidden is in this convent of Christ, a Templar convent. Very, very interesting from an architectural standpoint. And I would also invite you to visit. Anyway, sometimes we get involved in these quests to find like these magical items that can bring us like special powers or special solutions to our needs. And whenever we think about the Holy Grail of testing, something that could have like a magical power, I kind of pass the ball to you all in this conference, in this summit. Are we really on the right quest? Do we think there is such things as a Holy Grail of testing? And what are we really trying to solve in terms of testing? Whenever we think broadly in testing, and we had this discussion earlier on, we have actually a bunch of different things that we may be thinking of. So are we really trying to solve all these different needs with the Holy Grail of testing? So before trying to answer this concrete question, let's dive into 5 goals that we may have, some typical goals that we may have, and see and look at some assumptions and that may come with those goals and reflect a bit on that. I would say that these are actually 5 illusions that will divert us from making better testing decisions. And the first one is this goal. We want to find a magical solution that would allow us to test everything. And everyone has been like in a team where someone asks, we need to test everything. What is everything? And this seems like a philosophical question, but it's actually a real question we get, or a real need. And it actually comes with 2 wrong assumptions that I have to mention. The first one is that quality is something tangible, something quantifiable, and that means the same thing to different people. And we know that it's actually not like that, as we'll see here. And second, it also departs from the assumption that we would have the time and the tools to test every possible scenario. And you know what? We don't have. So I think in life and in testing, aiming for everything is not really the thing that will bring us happiness. It's more a myth that in the end will lead us to frustration. Think with me. Can we really test our software in all possible ways? Can we really simulate all possible users and replicate all the possible imaginary flows they can do with our software, the ones that we didn't even consider about, that no one really considered about? And more than that, can we actually test our software in all possible scenarios and environments? You make a mobile application. How many mobile devices are there out there with the different combinations of software installed on them? Can we really test across all these different, let's say, devices or even environments? If we are talking about solutions that are installed like on-prem or on our laptops. To give a more clear overview of this, I usually use this diagram that I adapted from Ricard Edgren, and I call it the truth lake. It depicts, let's say, all possible usages that we can have in our product. Like every single point represents a different usage that we can have in our product, including every possible bug. And there in the middle of that lake, you see that rectangle there. That rectangle represents our knowledge, the known knowns and the known unknowns. Okay, for the known knowns, we can make checks. We can make our test cases with the known expectations. For the known unknowns, we have to put our hands dirty. Or maybe we can do, like, say, exploratory performance testing and see how the system evolves without really expecting any specific value in advance. But the thing is that from all that embraces our knowledge, which is just a little subset in this infinite truth lake, only a bit of it touches the scenarios that are really important. So instead of really trying to tackle all possible points in this infinite lake, we should think about, because that's simply impossible, we should think how can we actually move on top of that island, which I call the important island that you can see there in brown. How can we actually move there so we can expose the things that matter, the risks that matter and that can affect our users? That should be our question instead of trying to test everything. Illusion 2, automate all the tests. Everyone has found this goal. Everyone wants to find a solution to tackle the automation of every existing test. But if we saw earlier on that testing everything is simply impossible by definition, so is automating all the tests. So automating the tests is just a very small set of the hard-coded checks that we should have, right? I'm remembering myself when a long time ago, I checked out the Google project, the Chrome project, and I actually tried to build it myself. It had at that time, I think, 60,000 checks, automated tests. Does that mean if all of them are good, that our product is good to go? Yeah. The tests are good. The tests for sure they help, right? Those automated tests for sure they help, right? But we should think about the tests that where we should put in the user shoes by experimenting the product to try to see how it actually behaves if it's consistent, for example, right? If you have a product as a bunch of reports, if you are adding a new report, we would expect that report has the same set of actions that you have available in all the reports. And maybe the automated checks they are testing what you have implemented, but they are not testing what you don't have implemented. So that's why we should combine automated tests with exploratory testing. Third illusion, we want a tool or a way to have a bug-free products. So bug-free, what does it mean? First, that we would need to have the same understanding about quality and what value means, right? And we have seen that actually quality means a different thing for a different person, for a different stakeholder, because we value different aspects of our software differently, right? And for some person, maybe a bug is more like a feature, right? Depends. And even if we have the same understanding about what is quality, can we really test all the possible infinite combinations about our software, about the features that our software provides and the environments where our software is deployed into? And we really can't. So have in mind that quality is multidimensional. First of all, it means different things for different stakeholders. And there's always like a compromise, right? You need to make a release eventually at the end of the sprint or at the end of this month. So we really should think about, instead of thinking about these bug-free products, which is more like a myth, we should think about how do we spend our effort, how we spend our resources in the best way that addresses the risks in our software, that can support us and also the end users. And sometimes it's even acceptable that we have bugs in our software, the ones that we know, right? What matters most is that these bugs are not really that relevant, or that we can fix them quickly. So instead of trying to think about bug-free products, we should think about the pace and the risks that we are addressing. Fourth illusion, tools will replace us. We were discussing, can we be replaced by tools? Well, there are a certain tasks that we do. Actually, some tasks can be automated. But instead of trying to find the tool to replace what we do across all testing activities, we should think whether we are really on the right path. Let's think for a bit what we do in testing, right? And even if we have tools, and someone was discussing there on the chat, tools won't know your context, right? Tools don't know exactly your customers. Of course, you can get data from what is happening in production, and you should look at that. But whenever you're building a new product from scratch, tools won't have insights about your potential customers. And tools will not know about the things that are not implemented, right? I think I mentioned that. So you have like many tools that can give you great insights about the things that you have actually in the code, but not about the things that you don't have in the code. And tools won't change your work culture, neither improve the skills in the team. So instead of all of this, we should try, instead of whether thinking about trying to find the tool that will replace the activities that we do, we should think about, are we addressing the right problems, the right needs? Are we having this conversation trying to find out about our prospects and our customers, and trying to discover the needs that they have? Are we aware of the timing and the other constraints that we have around us, and that will for sure affect the quality of the products that we are building, and that will affect the decisions that we take? So we should really work towards working in a true collaborative environment. And this is more easy to say than to implement, I have to say, right? It's like also improving shared knowledge. There are ways of doing so. You can pair your testers with your developers. That's one way of sharing knowledge. right? You can make many discussions early on with your customers, and incorporate that feedback as soon as possible. Fifth illusion, and is that okay? We want a way. We want a way of adding like a layer of abstraction, right? We have a magical way of adding a layer of abstraction, no matter if I'm talking about a UI, a low code, or no code, or whatever kind of solution. So we can test our products easier and make them less buggy. So we get a crappy solution, we put some fancy UI or fancy API on top of it, and then it's okay, right? It's like this. So don't get really in, I would say, don't go after this illusion, because it won't take you nowhere. So we know for a long time that for every like 1,000 lines of code, according to Steve McConnell, we have around 15 to 50 bugs. And we also know that fixing the bugs costs a lot more with time, right? That's what we know. So we think that, okay, we could think as Jeff Nelson, the person that invented the Chromebook, that, okay, so, maybe I can go from 1,000 lines of code and replace like this with 2 lines of code and remove a bunch of bugs, right? Well, be critical. Less code doesn't mean you have less bugs, though. Imagine yourself, if you have like some software that actually implements like some algorithm, and you externalize that to some API or to some dependency, some NPM package, some library, you are just externalizing the risk and the inherited risk. You can have security risks, you can have performance risks, right? You can replace like 1,000 lines of code with 1 line of code, and adding more issues to your customers. Okay, let's get back on track. Have we really found the Holy Grail of testing so far? And is like ChatGPT like a possible solution for it, or in similar kind of LLMs are there a solution? So the first thing is that LLMs are just one of the many solutions, many, let's say, technologies whenever we talk about AI. But people got really excited with ChatGPT. Let's see what we can do with it. And I did these experiments like right after it came out, the first version, and I asked like, how can I test this software? Just that simple question. And it gave me a bunch of stuff, right? It sounds good. It sounds okay, right? But the thing is that it's a bit a generic answer. Okay, the question also was generic. The system didn't ask me what's important to me and to my customers. So I can actually provide me guidance in terms of testing if it doesn't care about what's important to my customers and stakeholders. Okay, Sergio, let's try to go one step further. Let's ingest this login page and the code of this login page and ask it about potential bugs or risks with it. And it told me a bunch of stuff: accessibility issues, security issues, validation issues, so on and so forth. You see, it's a lengthy answer. But it didn't miss the biggest issue, in my perspective, right? Is that I had the hard-coded credentials there. And, oh, by the way, don't copy these credentials. But you can see they are like a username and a password, they are hard-coded, right? So, an impressive tool, but can miss like the obvious stuff. And most of all, it seems I'm being skeptical. But I think it's about being realistic. Okay, so we can think about, like, say, using these tools wisely. So, for example, it didn't ask me about the purpose of that page. Does it make sense at all, right? It just accepted what was provided to it. It didn't ask me about, like, permissions or roles. Do I need them? Do I need any kind of authentication mechanisms? What's the process for recovering or for sign up? Is there like a back office somewhere? Nothing of there was nothing of these questions were not asked to me, so they were not really provided on the answer, and they are really essential, right? Okay, but it's not just about let's say, the bad things. Let's see how we can actually do something with ChatGPT. So whenever the ChatGPT, I think the 4.0, 3, 4, the 4, GPT-4 came out, the multimodal one, I made a proof of concept. I call it the test GPT, which I will try to show you live. So what I have here, let me get my mobile, and let's see if this works. I'm not sure. Oh, I guess. Can you see my screen? Let me see if I can. Oh, it's because of the video. Okay. Probably I need to do something here. Give me a second. That's why sometimes you have to record. And I'm glad I recorded it before, right? So what I'm showing you, I hope you can see my screen, right? I use that. I use like this kind of a augmented reality. I showed the mobile page, and I asked, can you generate some test cases for the site that is being shown the mobile phone? And it actually generates some stuff, right? So this was quite really straightforward to implement using the OpenAI APIs in this case. And well, I made a small like on it. Okay, I asked, like, can you generate me the 5 test cases? But now I want this like in Playwright. Can you generate me like in Playwright? And actually, it worked, right? Well, it's taking a bit, it's asking like CPU 1. Can you get in? Here we go. You have a bunch of test cases, and even got like the URL. Well, the bit that was shown on the screen, and it made like some positive and negative cases, right? So, of course, they are interesting use cases. They can be helpful to get started, and I think we should have that in mind. We cannot really get away from reality. So, given all of this, what can we do? I think we are getting all to the conclusion that we need humans, right? We always need humans. We'll keep needing humans. That actually, we should think about leveraging human testing with tools. And because tools can be quite great to provide insights about the code, right? So we have many ways to get insights about code. Like, there are many tools out there. Everyone knows, like SonarQube and many others, like even open source ones that can provide insights about the code. We can also use Copilot and other tools like that to help write a better code from the start. Tools can also help us test more combinations and test more combinations efficiently. And this is the moment in my talk where I talked about X-ray. I have not talked about X-ray so far. Actually, with X-ray Enterprise, you can use, you can define like a model of your system, slightly different from what you have with the previous software with the test modeler. In this case, you define like the parameters that you have, or like for a simple feature, the possible values that it generates, like an optimized set of test cases using NWise testing techniques. Okay, so you can cover risks more efficiently with fewer tests. But tools are also great not just to do that, but also to perform testing in parallel, and to address tests that otherwise we couldn't do, right? So we saw earlier that load testing, we cannot do that, let's say, in a traditional manual way. We need tools to assist us. But we can also use tools to help us detect strange or uncommon patterns, like visual testing, but also think about logs, strange patterns in terms of what's happening in production, right? So that's where AI and machine learning can help us really a lot. Then you asked me, what's the Holy Grail of testing? And I think for me, the Holy Grail of testing comes from humans leveraged by tools, working together in a true team environment. So these three vectors: humans, tools, and team. If you have just humans without tools, you don't go anywhere in software, right? You need good tools. But tools without humans, you don't go anywhere. You need humans to know a lot about the context, know about the risks that matter. And if you don't have all of these people actually work in a true team environment, forget it. You won't go far. It's really, really hard, right? So don't forget to actually discuss with the team, iterate, right? Embed tools to be more efficient, but don't forget that you are working in a team environment, or elsewhere you cannot improve quality in your products. And thank you.